Alright, today I'm going to teach y'all how to play cribbage. When playing with two players, each player is dealt 6 cards each hand. Without showing other players, each player must decide which 4 of the 6 cards to keep. The 2 cards discarded are added with the 2 cards discarded by the other player to form the crib, which is an extra hand the dealer gets to count points at the end of their turn. With 3 players, each player is dealt 5 cards and an extra card is dealt to the crib. Each player discards 1 card to add to whoever is dealing's crib. With 4 players, each player is dealt 5 cards and discards 1 card to the crib. After everyone has discarded, the player to the right of the dealer cuts the deck, and the dealer flips over the card and places it on top of the deck. This is a 5th card for all players to use with their hand when counting their points. If a jack is the turn card, as is the case here, the dealer gets an extra 2 points. Points are scored by having cards that add up to 15. This can be done using any combination of cards, and cards may be used again when counting multiple 15s in a hand. Each 15 is worth 2 points. Pairs are also worth 2 points. Runs and flushes are worth a point per card. Must have at least 3 cards in a run. And a flush must be all 4 in the hand. Face cards count as 10s. In the case of this hand, the 5 can be combined with the jack, the queen, and the king to make 15 3 different ways for 6 points. There is also a run of jack, queen, and king for 3 more points, and a total of 9. With this hand, the player can make 15 with the 8 and 7 of clubs, the 7 and the 8 of hearts, with the ace, the 6, and the 8 of clubs, and with the ace, the 6, and the 8 of hearts. That's 4 different ways to make 15 for 8 points. Because this hand had a 6, a 7, and 2 8s, it also has a double run to be scored. Here is an example of a double run. Note that aces are always low and count as ones. This is a double run because there are 2 runs of 3 in the hand. There is a run of ace 2 and the 3 of hearts, and a run of ace 2 and the 3 of clubs. Each of these runs consists of 3 cards, so is worth a total of 6 points. There is also a pair of 3s worth an additional 2 points for 8 points in the hand. This is a double run that has 4 different ways to make a run of 3 for 12 points and 2 pairs for a total of 16 points. To have a flush, all 4 cards kept in your hand must be of the same suit. Each card is worth 1 point. If the turn card happens to be the same suit, that is an additional point. As mentioned, a pair is worth 2 points. A kind, also known as trips, is worth 6 because it is counted by the number of pairs. In this case, there's 7 of hearts and 7 of clubs to make 1 pair, 7 of hearts and 7 of spades to make 2 pairs, and the 7 of spades and 7 of clubs to make the 3rd pair for 6 points. 4 of a kind is also counted in pairs and is worth 14 points. Finally, if you have the jack in your hand that matches the suit of the turn card, you get an additional point. Now for the gameplay. After cards are discarded to the crib and the turn card is flipped, the pegging phase begins while everybody still has their hand concealed. Starting left of the dealer, players play 1 chosen card at a time and collectively add to 31, or as close as possible without going over. Here the player left of the dealer decided to play a 6. The dealer now chooses a card to play from their hand. They play it at 9, and because a tally hit right at 15, the dealer gets 2 points. Now the other player plays their king, which is worth 10, so the tally is at 25. The dealer, who must play any card that they have that will not push the tally over 31, plays a 3 to put the tally at 28. The other player now plays a 3 to put the tally at 31. Because they hit 31 exactly, they get 2 points. They also get an additional 2 points for playing the second of consecutively played 3s for a pair. they had a 2 instead of a 3 and had pushed the count to 30, but nobody could play because their cards would make the tally exceed 31, turns are skipped until it goes back to that last player who played. If they can play, they must, but if they cannot, they get 1 point for playing the last card in that count to 31. Now, starting to the left of the last player to play, a new count begins. Pairs, triples, four of a kind, and runs cannot be continued from that previous count. A fresh slate now begins. In this case, it starts with a dealer who plays an 8. The other player plays a 6 to put the tally to 14. The dealer then plays a 7, so the tally is at 21. Despite not being in order, this is a run because 6, 7, and 8 were played consecutively, and each is worth 1 point for 3 points. The dealer also gets an additional point for playing the last card on that count to 31 because both players have now played all 4 of their cards. The cards are left face up on the table, and the counting phase begins. The players now use the cards in their hand and the turn card to score their points. The player left to the dealer counts their hand first. Counting continues clockwise, in this case to the dealer. After counting their own hand, the dealer then flips over the crib, and using those 4 cards and the turn card as a 5th, score this bonus hand as well. The dealer then moves clockwise, and another hand begins. This board is used to keep track of the score. It can be a 2-player race, a 3-player race, or a 2-team race when 4 people play. When you score points, you move your peg that many spots forward. Once out on the board, 2 pegs are used by each player, with the back peg leapfrogging the front peg on the acquisition of more points. The first player to accumulate 120 points and reach the finish wins. The game is over as soon as a player reaches finish, regardless of if it's in the middle of a hand and the other player would have reached the finish too by the end of the hand if they had had a turn to play. It doesn't matter, they were not first, so they lost. If you are not past that S on the board by the time the game is over, you get skunked.